What's happening, guys? Welcome back. This is day 12, all about paid advertising. Remember, again, when we're looking at getting leads, if you don't promote your business, who will? So if you are seriously considering looking at paid advertising, I've got all of the good bits and cut out all the bullshit that you need to know in this section in this day's training video. Basically, there's another arm of putting into the top of your sales funnel to help you get to the very bottom, 10k net profit per month as a business. So paid ads are the highest leverage because you can spend more on an ad and get more eyeballs to see your company and what you do. It takes the least amount of time, but it costs you money. So if you're earlier on, you haven't got as much cash available in the business, I wouldn't really recommend this to begin with. You can get a lot of work, a lot of traction through all of the other methods that we've talked about in the top of that sales funnel when we looked at that. If you need reminding, go back to that now. But if you've got cash in the business, you can invest in the business of advertising. Advertising is an investment. Then this might be a suitable option for you, okay? So with paid ads, this is what I really want to point out to you guys so it gets very clear. When you're doing a paid advertisement, you're renting eyeballs. You're only renting the eyeballs, a bit like renting a house. You don't own it. But when you build relationships and when you create content, you own the eyeballs. So it's one of them. The creating content and going out there and creating relationships, which is what I started with. The first two methods of getting leads in the business, I started with that. A little bit more difficult, but you then own them. You own the relationship, you own the content, and it compounds and builds over time. Again, it's a bit like owning your own house. You have a little bit of equity in the house when you buy it, but as the years go on and the value goes up, the compounding does you a favor and you've built up equity in your own home. So I want you guys to look at it in that way and go, well, okay, it's going to take a little bit longer and it'll be a little bit more ball ache to create content and build the relationships and get out there and speak to people that you already know and actually get on the phone and get on email, get on messages, whatever it is. Yes, it takes time, but it will compound and then you own the relationship and you own the eyeballs. Different spin, but you know, one's going to pay you a lot longer and be more beneficial on the long term, and you're in business for the long term. So if you're willing to do the work, that's what I would do first. First port of call, the warm outreach and the creating content. But if you want to layer it with a layer of paid advertising, that can add to it as well. Okay. Now, paid ads are going to cold audiences. So it's people that just don't know you. They've never heard of you. They just don't know anything about you. But when you build relationships and you create content, people already know you. They already know and like and trust. So it's actually quicker and easier to work with people that already know you and putting content out there because you're closing that gap. Remember, know, like and trust is the most important thing when it comes to marketing, which then leads into the sales, which then leads into quotes, which then leads into profits. So be aware that it takes time for paid ads to work. You know, you're not going to put an advert up, and I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They get sold the dream by marketing agencies or advertising companies. They go, yeah, you just put this ad up and you'll get 68 leads next week. The reality is that doesn't actually happen. People they don't know you, they're very skeptical. And a lot of those people, those types of demographic they target are the cheapest leads possible to try and make the marketing agency look good and go, well, we've got you these leads, they're cheap as possible. But then when it actually comes to trying to contact those leads, a lot of them don't pick up the phone. A lot of them have entered into 10 other adverts that have done the same thing because they're literally just price hopping and shopping for the cheapest. It's not actually developing any sort of relationship. And you spent your money and you've paid for that lead, and then equally you've paid the marketing agency as well on top of that, and before you know it, you spent a lot of money and it's not really been worth a wank. It's been a waste of time. So that's the danger zone of paid advertising that marketing agencies won't tell you, but I will tell you that as a business owner to another business owner. That's really what it's like, and that's the reality of the world. And I know a lot of you watching this and listening to this and doing this program, you've been bitten a little bit by that. You've been sold the dream and it's not really quite happened and worked out like that. So I want to make that really clear. So really only do paid ads when you've got the money to not see a return straight away. You're not going to put an ad up and get 3 jobs next week. It doesn't happen, okay? You will lose money in the short term, but it will pay in the long term as a form of an investment, okay? So it's got to be an investment minded thing to do any form of paid advertising, to do any of it, okay? It's an investment longer term. It's not a short, quick fix. If you need work now, you're urgent, you're desperate to get more inquiries, it's going to come from people that already know you and putting content out there and actually doing the manual graft and getting out there and speaking to people, okay? So, what most businesses do, this is typical for the industry. The easy one is, well, okay, we'll just advertise in a local magazine because it's easy, it's quick, it's cheap to do, or the local paper. You know, everyone's got a local neighbourhood magazine that comes through the door, and it's full of just little adverts from different people, Terry the roofer, Gary the decorator, and it's just a book that, let's be honest, most people just throw straight in the bin. I don't really know anyone who actually reads that book unless you're over the age of 65 and you're looking at just bullshit that's irrelevant to anyone. But for the demographic you want for hiring clients, are they really reading that? I don't think so. Most people that I've spoke to, and I've done this as well, I've advertised in places like this, never had a phone call. And a lot of the clients I've worked with, they've tried stuff like this, never had a phone call. So it's low, if any, results from that. Number two, people will either sponsor their local golf club or their local football club because you've got a kid, one of your kids or a niece or a nephew is part of a team. Again, it's the easy, quick route. You know, someone says, "Oh, do you want to advertise in a magazine?" You go, "Yeah, okay," because you don't really know what you're doing in the forms of advertising that works. So again, it's like low, if any, results. Again, I've tried this. I've got clients that have tried this. I know that it doesn't really work. Again, you're not going to sponsor a football team and the next week you get 4 phone calls. It doesn't really happen like that. But you might get one in 6 months' time. So if you can afford to spend the couple £100 a month or the £500 a month or £1,000 a quarter, whatever they want for that, and you don't need a result from that, and it's just another place for your brand to be seen because you've got a lot more revenue coming in, great, do it. But I think for the most part of what you guys are trying to get to and go, right, what's the cleanest, easiest, simplest way to get to that 10k net profit per month and beyond? It's not this. This is a later on. This is a nice to have. This is a bit like a, what's the way to put it? A little mint at the end of a dinner. If we need to focus on the starter and the main course first, and then little bits like this if you want to because you've got the cash, great. And lastly, some of you may have tried like just banging out a generic Facebook ad and trying to do something, but again, it's just going to cold people, and you've got to be very clever and creative at doing advertising. This is what people don't tell you. You're not going to be able to just bump up a quick plumbing company in your area, get your boiler replaced and get people click on it and then become a customer. It doesn't work like that. There's no like or trust factor. There's no credibility from you. And again, there's 20, 30 companies probably doing a similar thing. You all look the same. You don't stand out. So that's the difference, and that's the separator of it, okay? But again, when it comes to content and reaching out to people and getting on the phone, most people don't do that. So you've got a much greater opportunity of getting a result from that. Grassroots advertising. I want to kick off here because some of you will be doing this, some of you won't be. Sign written van. You've got to. Some people put up the argument, "Oh, I don't have my sign written van because my tools might get nicked." That's not going to prevent that happening. Shit happens. You can have an unwritten van or a sign written van, and that might happen. That's life. But your van is your easiest, quickest, cleanest opportunity when you're parked outside properties, or you're parked up at the gym, or you're parked up at the golf club. Someone's seeing your company and your brand, you're more visible. So why would you not do it? There's more reasons to do it than not do it. Easy one. Uniform, same thing. All of your lads, you especially, I would have a t-shirt on all the time with your company name on the back. Even if I'm in the gym, I'd be training in my own t-shirt with my company name on, number on the back. You then start speaking to people, they inquire, they ask, people know who you are, you're the owner. It's an easy one to do. Like, it's just a no-brainer. Everyone should be in uniforms, high vises especially. You want company name on the back, number, very professional, looks good, all your lads look the part. Is that difficult? Yes, because lads take the piss, they don't look after uniforms, but it's a cost and it's expense. But look at it, it's advertising your company. So if you've got to replace those uniforms every 3 months, you're better off spending money on that, because one, your lads look professional, it looks good to the clients you've got already, but two, you're advertising, and the money that you could have been spending, or maybe you have been spending on a bullshit like football sponsorship, you're better off spending on uniform. Smarter use of your cash, I believe. Number 3, not everyone does this. Every job you've got, doesn't matter what trade you're in, even if you're just decorating a house or you're just doing some minor electrical work in a house, you want to have a banner outside. Put a sign up out the front. You want something out the front that looks professional. If you've got scaffolding set up, there should be a mesh banner put up. If you're doing whatever job you're doing anywhere else, you should have a board outside the house, company name, logo, contact details, the best way you want people to get in contact with you. Because jobs bring more jobs. You know, neighbours are always fucking nosy. They see, oh, so-and-so's having something done. They don't know who's doing it because there's an unmarked van outside and there's no signage. how are they going to get in contact with you? Jobs bring jobs, because the no like trust factor goes up massively when you're already in someone's house and a neighbour sees it and maybe they want the same thing. And you'll find this, especially like new build estates, for example. Once one person has something done, the next person wants it done, and the next person, and you can just churn and repeat. So it's an easy way of advertising. If you haven't got a banner or a board outside, you're crazy. No matter what you do, if you're fitting a new kitchen, get a board out the front. Say you're doing kitchens. If you're doing the garden, board out front. Decorating, board out front. Non-negotiable. A note to neighbours, which I'll give you an example below this. I'll leave it below so you can just copy and paste. This is a cracker. I've won a good few jobs from doing this. If you're doing a job in someone's house, what's the one thing that pisses neighbours off? It's noise and it's mess, are the two things. Noise and mess. If you're doing a job, again, if you're just doing decorating, you're not really making any noise or mess outside. People don't know that. They see a work van outside. So what I like to do is put a note down the whole street or the whole little block that you're on. You know, you do this at lunchtime. It takes you 10 minutes to walk around and put a note or a card through the letterbox and say, along the lines of, like I say, I'll put this below so you've got the template. You can nick it and basically use it. A nice little note or a card that says, just a polite notice to let you know that we are currently redecorating, fitting a new bathroom, fitting a new boiler, doing an extension, whatever you're doing at number 32 Smith Street, round the corner. This is just a polite notice to let you know that noise will be kept to a minimum between these hours, and we will ensure the site's left clean and tidy every day for your peace of mind. That to a client just speaks absolute professionalism, that you're a nice decent contractor and it's someone that they would actually use themselves. So if they are thinking about getting something done, maybe not now but maybe in the future, you are going to be there on a peg scheme. You know, compared to any other contractor, you're going to be up there because no one does considerate, nice, easy stuff. And this is so easy to do, which means it's easy not to do as well. But if you've got these cards just in your dashboard, they're in your car, you're in your van, you're in your truck, whatever, whenever you start a job, you're doing a job, do that. Network, basically, because then you're making people warm. All comes back in. They then might check you out on Instagram or social media, you're putting content out, becomes a full loop of it, and then they might buy now or later on, 3 months, 6 months, a year. You're just building your brand up, easily done, and it's 10 minutes out of your day at lunch or at the start when you're setting up lads on site. This is what the business owner thinks like, okay? So I'll leave that example below for the note. And then obviously a website. You know, website is a paid form of advertising. You pay to get a website done, which everyone should have a website because everyone checks someone out, so you need to have a website. Obviously, I'm not a website designer. You go to someone local, you don't need to spend a fortune. For most of you guys, you know, sub £1,000, you get a decent enough website. If anyone tries selling you a website at this stage for a £5 grand, £10 grand website, they're just pulling your pants down. You need a simple, professional page. Find a company that you like that does similar stuff to you, and just mimic that, change it to your colours, change it to your brand. It's just a page for people to go to and then contact you, fill out a form, have your phone number on, and see some of the works that you've done, okay? Very, very simple. But it is a paid form of advertising. The issue is though, I think I've said this before in another video, your website is only good if people go to it. So some of this stuff that you're doing, the sign written van, the banner on site, and the notes neighbours, that would have your website address on it, so you're actually sending people to it. So that's a form of sending traffic to it. But then when it comes to targeted paid advertising, and it has to be targeted, so it's, you know, the shotgun versus the sniper scenario again, you may have heard, or you might already be doing, SEO, which is search engine optimization, is basically when someone goes to Google and researches something, you come up and your website comes up. If you're not doing SEO, your website won't come up. So if someone searches builder or plumber in your area, and you've not got any SEO behind that, search engine optimization, you won't come up, you'll be on page 37. The people that win are the 1, 2, 3 top positions. But again, this is an investment. This takes time, and likely you will spend between £500 and £1,000 a month to get SEO operating for 6 months to 12 months. It will take that long. Again, this is what people won't tell you. So you've got to be willing to put in that amount of capital to get SEO working. But it's great when it does work, because when people go to Google, they're researching something, they're active buyers, they're ready to buy. So if they're looking, or they're Googling new boiler in your area, or extension in your area, or painter and decorator in your area, they're looking to buy. So if you come up in the top few results, and then they go on your website and it looks good, they're likely to contact you and reach out to you, and then you've got to be super on it, get the quote in and win the job. But it takes time and it takes money. So it's not something that's going to solve immediate problems with inquiries, which again is why I started with content and reaching out to warm people and actually connecting and doing the manual work. That's going to get quicker results for you right now. Google Ads is very similar to SEO, but the difference is the SEO, once it's up and running, it's there and it's built and it works over time. Google Ads, they're either on or off. So the minute you turn them off, nothing's going to happen. But the Google Ads are the ones that pop up. You might see them in the corner when it's in a different section, and Google's actually putting your website in front of people because they've looked at stuff. They can work. One of the guys that I showed you yesterday, Innovate Security, he gets a lot of work from Google Ads because people search bespoke gates, he comes up, they click the ad, they go to the website and do it. But for a lot of you guys, that's going to be a bit too heavy on the investment side of having that running all the time to get the inquiries that you want to begin with. But they do work, they're very good because again, Google will ram it in people's faces when they've looked at stuff to do with what you do. Instagram ads, that is the easiest, cheapest, most simple way to do some sort of form of paid advertising that uses your best free content that we spoke about yesterday. So I will do a separate video on this below this to show you how to do that. You can literally spend between £5 and £10 a day and target your exact area where you live, the demographic of people you want, and put your company in front of people and get new people in that can then become potential clients. That's the easiest, cheapest, most simple way of doing it, and quite an underused tool that a lot of people don't really use right now. And then lastly, if you're the general builder or the main contractor and you're trying to go after bigger projects, the planning portal where planning applications have gone in, you can go onto that planning portal and actually do a letter drop to those people that are having a big house built or a big refurbishment or a new commercial unit being built. You can target them, but that's going to take time to research, then send them a letter and move on. So I wouldn't recommend it right now, but it might be something you think about longer term. And if that's something that you do want to do with your business, depending on what business you've got, you can just ask me about that and I'll point you in the right direction, okay? But I wanted to just list that out, and that's really your main options. And really, just to finish this one off, look, targeted paid ads won't work for you if you are an individual trade trying to get work with a main contractor or a general builder. Relationships will. If you are trying to be under someone else's bigger ship, you've got to build the relationships with that. You're not going to be able to do an ad and target those people. You're just going to burn money and waste people. So I wanted to make that very clear as well, okay? So they're all the main things around paid ads. The grassroots stuff that I think you should do anyway, that's a given. And then it's your choice whether you want to do these certain types of targeted paid ads, and I will put that video below of the specific Instagram ad to use to boost it, to speed it up. And also I'll put the note below, like I say, of what to do to put in neighbours and do the drop around the houses that you're already working on to generate even more inquiries. All right, and that's it for today. I'll see you on the next one.